Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking on a really fascinating and pretty profound stack of sources.
We are.
They all wrestle with one of the biggest questions out there, really. If the entire physical universe, from, quarks to constellations, is perfectly governed by natural law.
Gravity, thermodynamics, all of it.
Exactly. Why are humans the only creatures who seem to need explicit, prescriptive religious laws to tell us how to behave?
It's a classic tension, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
You've got the laws of physics that describe what must happen, just pure necessity.
Right.
And then you have laws of morality, of ethics, of religion that describe what we got to do. It's all about choice.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really explore that paradox. We're going to use the Islamic tradition as a core framework because it offers such a powerful contrast to, say, scientific or secular naturalism.
We're really getting to the heart of existence and accountability here.
We are. If nature is already running on this, infallible code, what is it about human consciousness that makes us so problematic that we need an instruction manual?
To even start, we have to get our definition straight. I think in everyday talk, we sort of blend the ideas of nature and law.
Sure.
But these sources show a huge divergence in how different worldviews even see those basic terms.
Okay, so let's break that down. What are we looking at?
Well, from the scientific and, the secular viewpoint, nature is basically the physical universe. That's it.
All the stuff we can observe.
Right. And its laws are discoverable. They're descriptive. They tell us how things work. Gravity describes how mass behaves. Evolution describes how populations change.
They're morally neutral. An earthquake isn't evil, it just is.
Exactly. The naturalist view goes even further and says that's all there is. Everything is natural and laws are just emergent properties. They're not designed by anything.
They describe what is, the status quo.
Precisely. Now, contrast that with the theological perspective, specifically the Islamic one. Here, nature isn't just the universe, it's khalq.
Which means?
Creation. Everything brought into being by God. And it's inherently purposeful, it's balanced, and crucially, it's obedient. The law governing it is called sunnatullah, the way of God or qadr, which means a precise measure or decree. The sources keep coming back to the Quranic idea that everything was created with precise measure.
So, okay, a scientific law explains that an apple falls. But the religious definition implies a deliberate reason why the apple exists and why it follows that specific path.
Yes. You have descriptive laws versus prescriptive laws.
That makes sense.
And that prescriptive quality, that idea of a cosmic order, you see it across so many other traditions too. Hindu Dharma, the Buddhist concept of dependent origination, the Tao.
The universe has a rule set and it can't break the rules.
It can't, which brings us right to that central kind of provocative question.
Does nature follow religion?
Right. And if the word Islam itself means submission, does the moon submit? Does a river submit?
That's the paradox.
It is. And the theological answer is so interesting because it flips the whole question on its head. It says nature doesn't follow religion.
Right.
Instead, religion is a set of instructions made for the only part of creation that has a choice not to follow the divine reality behind nature.
Wait, say that again. If the rocks and stars are already submitting to this qadr, this precise measure,
They are.
then why send a human instruction manual? Doesn't that make the whole thing redundant for the rest of creation?
It does, because for the rest of creation, submission is automatic. The sources are absolutely clear on this. Everything in the heavens and the earth already submits to God, willingly or unwillingly.
So the water cycle, a planet's orbit, a bird migrating.
All of it. They are obeying cosmic laws, khalq. They are, in a very real sense, naturally Muslim because they follow their preordained function. They can't do otherwise.
So plants and animals live in a state of perfect compliance, but with zero moral accountability. They don't need ethics.
They don't. Their obedience is a matter of physical necessity, pure instinct. Now, of course, the secular response is that this is just us observing mathematical constants, and religion is a human invention for social control.
But the religious view holds that the universe is perfect, except for this one. Well, this one glitch. Us.
Yes.
So why is our free will such a huge liability that we need an entire moral framework to keep the cosmic balance from tipping over? Why can't we just live by instinct?
And now we're getting into the deep theological water. This is the human dilemma. The Islamic framework makes this really critical distinction between two kinds of law.
Okay.
You have the cosmic laws, the khalq, where there is no choice. And then you have the moral laws, or MA of the command, where choice is everything.
So if a galaxy suddenly stops orbiting, the khalq is broken. But if a human decides to pollute a river,
The amor is broken. Exactly.
and what gives us this unique and potentially disastrous ability to break the amorous?
The sources point to 3 unique endowments. First, amoral. That's intellect, reason. The ability to analyze, to think in abstractions, to project into the future.
The capacity to ask, what if?
Yes. Second is free will, UKR.
Yeah.
The ability to actually choose between different options, even ones that are banned for us. And third, moral responsibility, tackle.
And this all leads to that concept you mentioned, al-amana, the trust.
The trust. The Quran says that this trust was offered to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they refused it. They were afraid of it.
That's a profound idea. Why would a mountain refuse accountability?
Because the potential cost of failure was just too high. The trust is accountability. Creation recognized that, perfect automatic obedience is easy. But freedom combined with responsibility, that's terrifying.
It means you have the capacity for total corruption, something a star or a river can't achieve.
But humanity accepted it.
We took the ultimate high-risk, high-reward assignment. But okay, if evolution already gave us instincts like empathy and cooperation for survival, why aren't those natural moral instincts enough?
Because instinct only explains why cooperation exists when it helps you survive. It doesn't give you an obligation to be moral when it's, say, personally disadvantageous.
Right.
Nature doesn't tell us that stealing or betraying a friend is wrong, especially if you can get away with it. Natural selection might even favor a bit of deception here and there.
Survival of the fittest is not the same as survival of the morally responsible.
Not at all. And this is where the concept of the nas comes in. The self, the ego, human desire. The sources warn that the nafs commands toward evil unless it's guided.
And this desire is the impulse for what? Excess.
For excess. Exactly. Think about it. A bear eats enough salmon to get through the winter. That's instinct. A human creates an industrial fishing system that can deplete an entire ocean. That impulse for excess, for maximizing gain at the cost of the whole system, that's the liability.
And that's what requires the explicit moral guidance of religion.
That's the argument. When the Quran says corruption appears on land and sea because of what human hands have earned, it's saying the planet is corrupted by human choice and excess, not by the natural order breaking down on its own.
So religion is the restraint. It's the ethical guidance system for the only part of creation that's capable of ethical failure.
Yes, it's meant to restore the cosmic balance, the man, that everything else maintains automatically.
Which makes that moment of transition, the shift in consciousness, incredibly important.
When did we go from being instinct-driven animals to these uniquely accountable beings?
Well, the scientific answer is, it's gradual. It sees consciousness on a spectrum. Simple awareness is ancient. Self-awareness, complex social structures. You see that in other advanced mammals.
But for us, Homo sapiens, there was a leap.
A huge leap. Roughly 50,000 to 100,000 years ago, you see this explosion of abstract reasoning, symbolic language, art, the ability to think about things like justice or God. It's seen as an emergent process of the brain.
But even a very intelligent ape is still at its core operating on instinctual necessity. The theological tradition seems to suggest a more qualitative shift, a sudden change.
It does. While many modern religious scholars are perfectly comfortable with evolution as the biological mechanism, the theological schools agree that the real distinction lies in the root.
The spirit or soul.
Yes. The moment of true human distinction, they argue, happened when God breathed into him of his spirit. This isn't just a biological upgrade, it's a spiritual endowment. That sounds less like a bigger brain and more like installing a whole new operating system.
That's a great way to put it. It's what gives us the capacity to reflect, to ask those existential why questions, and to seek meaning beyond just, surviving.
It grants the ultimate capacity for meaning.
And this is so important.
Yeah.
It shifts the whole conversation away from human superiority and toward responsibility.
Stewardship. Khilafah.
Yes, we're honored because we have this trust, not because we're inherently better. In fact, the sources are full of warnings that if we reject our intellect, our akal, and the guidance, we can fall below the level of the animals. We can become the worst of creatures.
It's a high-stakes existence. You're either elevated by fulfilling the trust or degraded by rejecting it.
And you see echoes of this idea elsewhere, too. In dharmic traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism, human life is seen as this uniquely precious opportunity.
Why?
Because only a human, with reason, can consciously pursue enlightenment moksha, or nirvana. It's a goal you have to actively seek, which an animal bound by instinct just can't do.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. Let's bring these threads together. We have nature following physical necessity, and we have humans who are supposed to follow moral guidance. What's the fundamental link between our unique consciousness and those natural laws?
I think the link is twofold. It's perception and duty.
Okay.
Scientifically, you could say our consciousness is the universe becoming aware of itself. Our minds are the tools for documenting and understanding physical reality.
And theologically?
Theologically, our consciousness allows us to perceive the ayat, the signs of God in nature. Every sunset, every law of physics, every biological process is a sign that should lead a thinking person back to the Creator.
So nature is constantly signaling this deeper reality, and human consciousness is the only receiver that can decode that signal as meaning and purpose.
Exactly. And that decoding, that perception, leads directly to the core duty, stewardship, khilafah.
It all comes back to that.
It has to, because religion doesn't exist because nature is broken or flawed. It exists because human consciousness has the unique power to break the balance, the mizan, through greed and war and waste. The guidance is meant to align our dangerous freedom with the cosmic order we were placed in.
That reframes something like environmental ethics completely. It stops being just a political choice or an economic calculation.
It becomes an act of faith, an act of worship even. Maintaining the integrity of the natural world is part of the deal. It means you have a mandate against waste, against destruction, against depletion.
If human freedom is the primary source of the problem, then moral law is the primary source of the restoration.
The guidance is meant to return our unique powers, our intellect and choice, to their proper balanced function.
So we've kind of established that this tension between physical laws and moral laws, it sort of dissolves when you see them not as competing systems, but as complementary ones from a single ordered reality.
Right. The physical laws handle everything except our free will.
And the moral laws are there specifically to handle our free will.
And that distinction is just so vital. Look, we all follow nature's physical laws every single day. We have to breathe, we get hungry, we will all eventually die.
No choice in the matter.
None. But those laws cannot and do not provide answers on how to be good or why we exist. Our consciousness, whether you see it as a divine spirit or an emergent property of matter, it demands meaning, it demands purpose, and physical constants just can't provide that.
Which leads us to the ultimate point that really all worldviews have to wrestle with. If our unique intelligence, when it's left without guidance, leads to corruption.
And given our unique power to both understand the natural order and, frankly, to completely destroy it.
The final question remains.
Is human consciousness the greatest challenge to nature's inherent balance? Or is it the only capacity in the known universe capable of consciously and deliberately protecting it?
Something for you to mull over as you observe the world and your own choices this week. Until our next deep dive, be well.